Good Monday evening, everyone. Welcome to Western Mass News. I'm Chris Pisano. We start tonight with a local story making national headlines. Just days after the Easthampton School Committee rescinded their offer to name Vito Perrone their new school superintendent, dozens gathered to protest that decision. Western Mass News reporter Maria Wilson joins us in studio with the story. Maria?
Chris, about 100 community members came out earlier today to show their support for Vito Perrone, whose offer they say was unjustly rescinded.
This is not right. It may not be illegal, but it's wrong.
Just days after Easthampton's school committee abruptly rescinded Vito Perrone's superintendent offer, a lively crowd of parents, students, and community members spoke out against the decision.
The school board revoking Dr. Perrone's contract is an inadequate representation of what our community both wants and needs.
We would be beyond fortunate to have him back as the leader of this district.
On March 24th, the school committee offered Vito Perrone the superintendent position, pending contract negotiations. And this past Thursday, the offer was rescinded. Perrone says the reversal was after he addressed two women on the school committee as ladies in an email, a greeting they allegedly deemed as a microaggression. And now, those who worked with the former Easthampton principal say they are disappointed by the recent development.
To peacefully disagree with the school committee's decision to rescind the offer, I was really looking forward to working with him, so I was really disappointed over the school committee's decision.
One former student tells Western Mass News what brought her to the event.
He cares about everything. He cares about every single student. And it's just like, it's really special. And I think that he deserves this opportunity to support other kids.
And what she says would be the ideal solution.
It would definitely be to reinstate and for them to apologize deeply.
Monday's rally wrapped up with this message from one school committee member.
So Easthampton, I will do all I can to honor your wishes and see what we can do to be able to enter into negotiations with Dr. Vito Perrone once again. I cannot promise anything. I am one member of the school committee.
Many of those there say they are saddened and frustrated that the decision to rescind Perrone's offer took place behind closed doors during an executive session. The school committee is expected to meet tomorrow. Reporting in studio, Maria Wilson, Western Mass News.